to stop placing illegal migrants in HMOs, detain and deport for the sake of our young women and girls.
A single speech inside Parliament has ignited one of the most divisive conversations in Britain right now, not because of what was whispered behind the scenes, but because of what was said openly and directly on the record.
Some young girls are frightened to walk the same streets. They've even changed their route to school. This is unacceptable. This is not right in 2026 that young girls, young British girls are having to change the way they walk to school. It's not fair on our citizens.
What makes this moment so explosive is that the speech didn't just criticise policy, it accused the system itself of pushing ordinary people out while tensions grow street by street. Watch closely and decide for yourself where this debate crosses the line.
Lee Anderson.
Thank you, Madam Deputy Speaker. The reason I'm here in this chamber tonight speaking on HMOs is because I've been contacted by hundreds of families in Ashfield over the past 6 years to raise their serious concerns about the impact HMOs are having on my community. Anybody can set up an HMO overnight, no qualifications, no training, no checks. All they need is a few £1,000s in the bank, get a mortgage, go and buy a cheap house somewhere in the Midlands or in the North or in places like Ashfield, buy up a cheap terraced house, turn it into an HMO. But this leads to thousands of unscrupulous investors who live hundreds of miles away from places like Ashfield, buying up properties and filling them with people, quite frankly, that I don't want living in my community. Druggies, criminals, wrong-uns, living sometimes 6 at a time in one small house, on streets that were once considered a good place to live. And the decent folk who can afford to leave these streets are leaving in their droves. And I know the Labour front bench and the backbench MPs bang on about emptying the hotels full of illegal migrants. And nobody wants a hotel full of illegal migrants in their area. Nobody wants young fighting-age males, 400 of them sometimes, from backward cultures that treat our women as second-class citizens. We don't want them roaming our streets. But the hotels are now being emptied. And where are these young men going to go? I'll tell you where they're going to go. They're going to go into a HMO. On the street, near people in this chamber, near my family, near my friends, near my neighbours. And we've had enough of this. We've got enough of our own homegrown nuisances in this country without importing even more to live in HMOs. Now, I've seen in Ashfield where, because of the HMOs being filled with young men, some young girls are frightened to walk the same streets. They've even changed their route to school. This is unacceptable. This is not right in 2026 that young girls, young British girls are having to change the way they walk to school. It's not fair on our citizens. The illegal migrants I talk about have been dispersed amongst our communities in HMOs. As I said before, mostly young men from backward cultures. Some have medieval views towards our women and girls. Yet women and girls tell me they are more afraid now to walk our streets than they've ever been. Nobody deserves this. And to make matters even worse, this government, and the previous government, to be fair, have allowed Serco to hoover up HMOs on 7-year deals and fill them full of illegal migrants, which has meant it is even now more difficult for British people to find accommodation. And this has also led to a huge increase in rents in places like Ashfield. The increase in HMOs in places like Ashfield has meant that Ashfield born and bred people are becoming homeless in our own town. This is an absolute disgrace. Normal, hard-working people in Ashfield are being made homeless by companies and landlords seeking more profit as their homes are converted into HMOs. In Ashfield, there are supposedly 110 asylum seekers living in this sort of accommodation at the taxpayers' expense. And it is shameful that we've had nurses kicked out of the HMOs. Nurses that work at my local hospital, the same hospital where I was born, kicked out of their HMOs because Serco has taken over the contract and they've been replaced by illegal migrants. We're supposed to be here in this place to make people's lives better, but we're making it worse. And my last ask, Madam Deputy Speaker, for the Minister is to stop placing illegal migrants in HMOs, detain and deport for the sake of our young women and girls. Thank you, Madam Deputy Speaker.
This speech has added even more fuel to an already heated national discussion about immigration, local housing, and public trust. The response online has been deeply split, and the conversation is far from over. Share your perspective respectfully in the comments.